now my pleasure to introduce to you my colleague, Steve Guy. 2 days ago, Steve came in to see me and he said, I'm supposed to be delivering opening remarks. What's that all about? I said, I don't know. So it's with great expectation and excitement I now find out. And I hope you do too. Steve?
This is the part of the ceremony where I'm supposed to stand up here and say something inspirational. Yeah. The reason we put this in here is because you're going to need inspiration over the next 3 or 4 months before the bar exam. So I'll try to do the best I can. One of the unspoken rules about inspirational talks at the beginning of graduation ceremonies is that I have to quote some dead poet. Largely because dead people are thought to be much wiser than any living people. Just look around. So, since I have to quote some dead poet, I've chosen to quote from William Shakespeare, who, of course, said everything better than anybody else, so he's a safe bet. In particular, I'd like to quote from one of the early histories of Shakespeare, one of the plays that aren't played much, aren't even read much anymore, a play called Henry VI, Part 2. At one point near the end of Henry VI, Part 2, there's a group of people, for lack of a better term, who could be called opposition politicians, also known as traitors, standing around in a group discussing what they're going to do when they get political power. And at one point in the conversation, one of the people turns to another one of the people and says, the first thing we do, let's kill all the lawyers. I find that inspirational. Right? And so do many of the people in here who are not lawyers. In fact, they find it much more inspirational than the lawyers do. It is so inspirational it's begun appearing on T-shirts. It's quasi-religious now, it's so inspirational. But it's odd, to me anyway, that non-lawyers find that phrase more inspirational than lawyers do. Because if you go back and read the play, you'll discover that the people saying those things in the play are the bad guys. In fact, they're not only the bad guys, they're a bunch of murderous tyrants. The guy who actually speaks the words in the play is a guy called Dick the Butcher. And Dick the Butcher butchers more than just cows. In fact, a couple of pages later on in the same scene, Dick the Butcher participates in the execution of a clerk whose only crime, is that he knows how to read. Now, Shakespeare was wise enough, I think, to understand that one of the central functions of lawyers is to tell tyrants that they can't do what they want to do. And that's going to be your role in your career. We are the people who go to the most powerful individuals, the richest corporations. In fact, sometimes, if we're brave enough, the President of the United States, and say to those people, you can't do that because it's against the law. We are also the people who are forced to explain periodically that even the most hated, reviled persons in society, petty criminals, flag burners, murderers, even the likes of Ted Bundy, have legal rights too, and the state has to respect those legal rights. Now, you applaud at that, but it is not a popular conception. It does not make us popular among tyrants, and it doesn't even make us very popular, us lawyers, very popular among normal, common, non-lawyer people. But that's okay. Because if you're doing your job right, you should be unpopular. Because it will always be unpopular to tell people that they should put aside their prejudices and their intolerance and their bigotry and their hatreds and behave like civilized human beings. And if you, the lawyers, don't do that, then it's just possible that no one else will. So this summer, when you're at a cocktail party and you're feeling sorry for yourself because you hate ever getting into this business and you're dreading the bar, and some turkey comes up to you and snidely says, first thing we do, let's kill all the lawyers. Remember Dick the Butcher. And remember that this turkey who's snidely saying this to you is helping William Shakespeare, the greatest poet of the English language, pay you the highest compliment he knew how to pay. And so on behalf of me and the faculty and William Shakespeare, welcome to a noble profession. Thank you.
It's now my distinct pleasure to introduce to you a man who really needs no introduction, the head of the Florida State family,